Legalizing cannabis in Michigan in 2016. I think all of us would like to see that happen.
Yeah!
And it is going to happen for sure. So what it looks like is very important. And today we're going to talk about the MI Legalize strategy for legalization. And these guys will fill in all the details. All board members, all very competent people who have been involved in advocacy and activism for years now and understand the true nature of cannabis and how to apply that to sensible policy. And it's become more than just bringing sensible policy to this issue. It's now kind of a lifeboat. It's imperative that we get this particular plan through and not some of the other options that are there. But with that, I will turn this over to the moderator, Rick Thompson, and he'll introduce himself and everybody on the panel, and we'll take questions about the MI Legalize plan today. Thank you very much for coming out today. Rick Thompson.
Jimmy Lowell, everybody. Jimmy Lowell. Third Coast Dispensary. Ladies and gentlemen, the MI Legalize program is crucial to Michigan's future and success. And instead of spending a lot of time talking about it, I'm going to let these people do it. And I'm simply going to moderate the conversation. Background on myself, I'm the editor of the Compassion Chronicles. I'm on the board of Michigan Normal, also on the board of the MI Legalize, and on the board of Michigan ACE as well. We do a radio show called Planet Green Trees every Thursday evening on Blog Talk Radio at 8 p.m. too for a couple of years with an attorney named Michael Camoran as well, and Jamie too. I'd like to introduce first a board member, let them have a brief introduction for themselves, and then we'll move on down the line, and after that we'll get into more chunky issues regarding the MI Legalized program and the language itself. First up is Matthew Abel, attorney at law from Cannabis Council of Detroit. People, Matthew Abel.
Thank you very much. My name is Matthew Abel. I'm a lawyer. This is my 30th year. I founded the law firm of Cannabis Council PC in Detroit, PLC, excuse me. We have 5 attorneys. We handle all types of marijuana cases and clients. But I've always been an activist. I currently am the executive director of Michigan Normal, the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws. And MI Normal has endorsed MI Legalize. Rick Thompson is also on the board of Michigan Normal and has joined us in that. So, to cut to the chase, if you know, there are 2 petitions circulating right now in Michigan for legalization, and the other one that we didn't write sets up a Michigan Cannabis Commission, kind of like the Liquor Control Commission, with a 3 or 4 tiered system and highly regulated. And then there's been a seed-to-sale tracking system bill that was introduced in the legislature this past week, which would also be a highly regulated model. And our proposal is regulated, but it's not seed-to-sale tracking. It allows any city, township, village, or federally recognized Indian tribe to allow or ban marijuana in their communities. And so, but the other proposal will allow you to grow a couple of plants, I guess. And people ask me, well, really, what's the difference? Does it matter whether our proposal passes or the other one passes? Sorry, I'm taking off on the introduction. I'll just say what I have to say and sit down because I got this on I got to get it off my chest and then I'm done, all right? I apologize to my friend, but carry it on. So, here it is. The big difference is that with our proposal, our legislation, if it passes, if you violate it, it allows 12 plants per adult. If you have 13 plants, like right now, a patient is allowed 12. If they have 13, it's a felony, that last plant, most likely. Well, with ours, we've decriminalized it to the point where it's only a civil infraction to violate it. So there is no more probable cause, there is no more marijuana crime in Michigan, and that's the big difference. There wouldn't be search warrants, there wouldn't be search. So yeah, we can legalize it either way, but if we legalize it our way, we'll get the police off the backs of the citizens, and really that's the whole point in the first place. So thank you for this time, and I'm sorry
He's so enthusiastic about the subject of marijuana law reform. Matthew Abel, everybody. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce the next director of the MI Legalized board, attorney from Royal Oak, Michigan, David Rudoy. Ladies and gentlemen, David.
Hello, everybody. I do cannabis defense out of Royal Oak, Michigan. And what we're trying to do here, and I think Matt really hit the nail on the head, is end marijuana being a crime in Michigan. And the other proposal says it legalizes it, but it doesn't, because people will still be subjected to felonies for marijuana-related crimes. Ours is the only one that does that. It's really, really important. I think every lawyer on this panel does not want to have to defend people for marijuana crimes anymore. We do that now because it's needed, but we want that to end. So, also, our proposal legalizes hemp, which I think is a really important thing that, you know, we might not be talking about that much today, but it's going to save the environment in many different ways. So thanks everybody for being here today, and I hope you guys have some good questions for us.
Thank you, David. Next, another MI Legalized Board Director member. She's laughing right now because she loves to talk in front of groups of people. Her name is Josie Scoggin of Mothers and Sons and Daughters United. Oh, she's going to make me pay for that from that on. Clap more because I'm in trouble. Clap more. That's right.
Can we take a moment to ridicule Rick for ignoring the name of such a fantastic organization?
Everybody say boo, Rick. I have been chastised. Move on.
My name is Josie. I'm volunteer coordinator for My Legalize. I'm also president and founding chair of Sons and Daughters United. Sons and Daughters United works to evaluate how the current laws and policies affect children, families, and young adults. So naturally, we're always talking about the drug war. My mother has used cannabis for the past 23 years. In that time, there was no such thing as medical marijuana. She was just getting stoned. But my mother also had a life expectancy of 18. They were supposed to have children. By 19, she had me. My mom celebrated her 40th birthday this year. She's been using cannabis for 20 years. And there was a couple changes in one of our dispensary bills where it would make marijuana inaccessible for my mother. And a little bit further than that, there was some serious money behind some other initiatives that would make my mother's life incredibly complicated. My mom lives on $710 a month, and like a lot of you guys do on disability, and she doesn't have money for lawyers or attorneys, and she doesn't have money to buy her own marijuana, which she has to smoke every single day, believe me. So if I don't pass My Legalize, I don't get to stay with my mom. It's more of a life and death situation. There's a lot behind it, and there's a lot behind My Legalize and Sons and Daughters, and we're definitely connected. But if we do pass this, then my mom gets unlimited access to medication. She has no weight limit. She has no criminal penalties. If she has an extra plant, it's $100, and I'm pretty sure I can find her $100 to make her okay and not have to go to jail. Everything is going to be fine. All we need is more signatures, more volunteers, more valid signatures, more registered voters.
More donations.
More donations.
Thank you, everybody. Josie Scoggin. Our next MI Legalized Board Director is petition gathering, signature gathering wizard. She's been a key element in many successful campaigns across Michigan in the last few years, reforming marijuana laws on a local level, taking her talents to a statewide level. We're very proud to have Deborah.
Okay, so I think that Matt covered everything that I was going to say and then spilled his drink. So I'm not going to spill my drink. But thank you, Josie. Being involved in the statewide campaign is a whole different ballgame. I know a lot of people have worked on initiatives in their local cities. This is something bigger than all of us. So if anybody has not signed a petition or they're not circulating petitions, we have two temps here. We have one in the medicated, one in the non-medicated. Josie touched on a little bit, folks. We need money. Because as much as I'd like to say that we can just go out and get signatures and we're going to legalize marijuana, that is not going to happen. We need money to gather those signatures, even if it's only $5. Of course, we want much more than that, but we must have money or we're not going to make it. The other group has a lot of money. So it's important for everybody to understand that there's a difference between the two groups, that they have a lot of money, they're likely going to make it to ballot. If we want to make it to ballot, we have to work harder, and that's all we can do is work harder, because the other option is not an option. It's not good for any of us, it's not what we work for, it's not what we want. So if anybody hasn't signed, please see us at either the medicated or the non-medicated, and 162 in the non-medicated. They say it's all the way at the back, but it's an oval, so we're not sure what the back is, but we're by the icy truck. Donation envelopes are available, yes.
MIlegalize.com, you can donate PayPal.
Stop.
Yeah, we have matching funds. No, I'm going to repeat that, because we have matching funds until August 26th, so we want to make that goal of $50,000 by then. And go to our website, www.milegalize.com. You can pay by PayPal, or stop by our booth and we'll figure out a way how to get your funds into our account.
Sure. Sure.
Let's do it for everybody. Finding a way to get funds out of your account and into ours. I love that. That's good. Our last board director that is up on the podium today is attorney from Lansing, Joshua Covert. Josh Covert.
I'm a criminal defense attorney. I work in East Lansing. I also work with Sons and Daughters United with Josie. I'm on the board of that, and that's really important to me to work towards providing, positive examples of marijuana in families. I think that's often not portrayed enough. I grew up in a home where marijuana was used my entire life by my parents, and I have no problem whatsoever with that. And so I think it's important for me to put that message out there. And some of the highlights of My Legalized were already covered. One of the things I want to point out is something I work on quite a bit as a criminal defense attorney, and that is drug driving. And what we do in My Legalized is prevent that from being intoxicated from being determined solely by blood level, because that's just simply bad science to rely on a blood level to determine intoxication. And so what we rely on is physical and mental impairment, and if that can be demonstrated or not. And so I think that's really important for me that that's in our bill. Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. Welcome back, Matt. Come on,
I didn't do so well.
That's okay.
With a full cup.
Decades of service. You get a secret one spill beer cup. One thing we can say about MI Legalized, it's an incredibly true expression of our democratic system. Currently, as many of you know and most of you suspected, people with big money get almost anything they want out of government.
Of course.
Have we learned that, right?
Of course.
Last couple decades?
Of course.
There's people out there with big money that want to shape the future of marijuana in a way that would advantage them. They don't care about the consequence of the individual citizen. They don't really care about the Medical Marijuana Act and all the people that have struggled and got their certifications and paid the state all these years to be able to forge forward to where we are right now. All they want to do is create a business environment that's advantageous for them. And MI Legalized says that's not appropriate. We need to speak from the ground level, from a personal level, and speak upwards, instead of having corporate entities tell us what the rules are and then dictate it downwards. So for MI Legalized, although it's totally about legalizing marijuana, it's also about retaking government in a way that empowers people. Because if we're successful with MI Legalized in a way that hasn't been successful in other states or even in our state's history in the past, we set a precedent. A precedent that the people are to be respected, and that we have to move away from corporatization of our legislature and back to a representation of the people like it's supposed to be. MI Legalized can help us accomplish that. So even if you are ambivalent about marijuana legalization for one reason or another, you should support MI Legalized because we support democracy. Am I right? Do we support democracy?
Yes.
Yeah. I know a lot of people out there may have some questions about the specific language of MI Legalized. We talk about 12 plants, we talk about hemp. There may be some details or some things you're questioning. I'd like to give an opportunity for some of those questions to be aired in just a moment or two. David, you're a criminal defense attorney. What would MI Legalized mean for the justice system in Michigan? How would we alleviate stress on our court system if MI Legalized were in place?
So it's pretty simple. we are taking marijuana out of a class of something that can be considered a crime. To possess, to use, to transfer, to sell, to make butane hash out of. It is now, we're talking about fines. If you violate the rules, there are fines. And I think butane hash, walking around the medicated section today is something that's a new thing that we need to think about. There was just another bill proposed that's going to make butane hash in Michigan illegal. The MCC plan does not specifically allow for that. That's a way that a lot of really sick people get treatment. And it's another right that's going to be taken away if MI legalized doesn't pass. Right now, the other plan, I can tell you, I've looked at it, I've analyzed it, or if no plan passes, we're going to be stuck with fighting for sick people's rights, fighting for the everyday person's rights, and people are still going to be prosecuted. Our plan's the only one. There's only 2 crimes in our plan. One is for driving while intoxicated, where they actually have to prove that you were intoxicated, not just show that there was some drug in your blood or some THC in your blood. They have to actually perform tests and show that your driving was bad. And then the other one is somebody over 18 selling to somebody under 18, which would still be a misdemeanor crime. Those are the only crimes. Those are the only crimes in our act. We don't have any felonies. So this would, and what it really does is it de-incentivizes the police from coming into your life regarding marijuana. It's a $100 fine. If you grow 99 plants instead of 12, it's a $100 fine. They have to go secure a search warrant. They have to go through a lot of work and spend a lot of money to then get that $100 fine. They're better off going out on the street and writing a traffic ticket. So the police will have no incentive to come after you and ruin you and your family's lives anymore. And that's why this is so important.
Yeah!
Thank you, David. You know, we've seen a societal change of epic proportions over the last few years in regards to marijuana law and the tolerance for marijuana nationally. It's been pushed by a lot of different things, Colorado, by Dr. Sanjay Gupta, by even President Obama and some of the things he's done. But what I think is interesting is to hear from Attorney Matthew Abel, who's been in Michigan leading marijuana law reform for 30 years. And Matt, could you comment just for a moment about what a unique opportunity we have in time now with MI legalized, how it's never really been quite so possible for us to achieve the concept of legalization in Michigan throughout all of the decades of your work?
This really is a huge opportunity for us, and I get frustrated because it's not unusual for people to approach me or come into the office and explain to me that, you know, it's going to be on the ballot in 2016, and so it's going to be legal, and they want to think about the business opportunity there. And I think that's putting the cart ahead of the horse, that it's not a foregone conclusion that it's going to be legal, or that it's going to be legal in any shape that we're able to work with. So it's a fight, and we really need to meet this opportunity. It's an opportunity for us. It's one that was self-made by all of us, that all of the activists in this fight, and those of you in the room who have been involved in this for a long time, I imagine most of the people in this room probably have been involved in this for some time, or they wouldn't be here in the first place. And so we need to get the message out that this is an opportunity which we should not let go. It's not a foregone conclusion. The legislature is not going to put this on the ballot for us. We don't have an angel investor or a funder who is going to step up yet, unless you're that person in the room who can write us the $1 million check. Now, there probably is someone somewhere who can write that $1 million check that will make the difference in everyone's lives for decades. But you know, we need to go out there and ask, and if we don't find the $1 million, we need to find the 100,000, and if we can't get that, we need to get the 10,000, and if we can't get that, we need to get the $1,000 check like someone gave me yesterday that's going to be matched. And we need thousands of those. $1,000 contributions is $1 million. So we can raise it in a lot of different ways. We tried this as an all-volunteer effort in 2012. If you remember Repeal Today, most of us up here spent a lot of time working on that for a year. 6 months in preparation and at least, and 6 months in the